What am I doing on my Saturday? I'm going to be going and testing out some amazing cuisine, local fare. One of the renowned Cuban restaurants in the Bay here is, I'll surprise you where we're going, but they have the best mojito in the city. So stay tuned and you'll be able to witness greatness as it gets created for us. Okay, I'm down here at Cape de Cuba enjoying a famous Cape Town mojito. Don't let the glass fool you. This is actually known as one of the best mojitos in town. So it's not about the presentation as much as it's about like the substance. And that might be a good theme for the question for today. So the theme is why travel? And travel the way I do. So this is sort of vacation as much as it's a lifestyle choice. I'm doing a lot of work and travel at the same time. I spend a lot more time in one location. So why do that, or why even consider that as an option? Well, I think that there's a couple of things that make it a benefit for somebody. Now, I'm just going to assume that whenever you're watching this, whether it's, your ability to travel is more challenged or not, why would you even consider it regardless? So for me, there's a couple of key things. First of all, I think that it helps you, at least from my perspective, really start to empathize with the fact that you're part of a bigger picture, right? So you're not just, when you're traveling, you start to realize all of the cultural significance of every place that you go to. If you spend some time there, you start to be able to learn different cultures, you start to be able to relate to different ideas, you start to become more open-minded, I believe, from the ability to interact with different languages and demographics. So I think there's like a real chance to be more empathetic as a human being by the nature of travel. So that's one thing that I'm really excited about. The other thing to consider, and why I actually think traveling right now is a great reason or a great idea, is that the world is now more accommodating to you being a digital nomad or having a travel lifestyle. The reason why is if you look around, things have really accelerated, allowing us to be basically able to work remotely, work from our laptops. Even if you were traditionally in a work environment where you had to be going to the office every day, now you can actually choose to potentially stay remote. Well, you can work from home, but you could also work from your home being anywhere if it's a digital consideration. As long as you've got good Wi-Fi and you have the ability to kind of get on and interact within the requirements of your occupation, this is an amazing opportunity that really hasn't presented itself ever before. I mean, recent pandemic has really accelerated this thing that we call a shift to more of a hybrid or remote lifestyle, or hybrid or remote work style, if you will. So that's another reason why I think it's actually really interesting for somebody to consider travel right now. And then for me, it's also like a very personal thing. I think it's part of just my upbringing. I was born an Army brat, so I ended up, or an Air Force brat actually, to be more technical. So I was flying all around as a youngster, following my family. My dad was taking us on, obviously, any of his postings, as we call it. And I was born in Germany, and then we went to other parts of Europe, and then we flew back to Canada, lived in multiple different provinces there as I was growing up. So I think it's partly that I'm just fascinated with travel, just probably a little bit baked into my nurture and surroundings growing up. But I also think it's really fascinating, just the ability to be able to explore the world and also like create your own sort of reality in many ways. So like, for example, I love the sun. Living in Canada, it gets very cold about half the year. I can now choose to go somewhere else for half the year where the sun is still abundant, right? So I love Canada for half the year, or maybe, let's say, if I'm being honest, 4 months of the 12, where it's really sunny, it's beautiful. But then the other 8 months, it actually is pretty difficult for me because it's pretty cloudy. So I can now be somewhere else and be able to enjoy that weather. Now, you have different considerations when you're traveling. So are you single? Are you married? Do you have children? Do you not have children? There's different things like that. Are you committed? Are you in some sort of relationship where traveling might not be suitable for your partner, right? So you do have to consider those things. I've obviously had to consider those at different times in my life. Right now I happen to be in a fortunate spot in that respect where I don't have to worry about those considerations. I don't have children as yet, and I also am single currently. So it does allow me to really not have to have that as a consideration. So I do appreciate the fact that I am fortunate in that way. to be able to make this decision. But I've actually seen people that have had families, they've traveled with them. I've seen people that have their significant other, they've made it work as well, where they've traveled together and they both negotiated that with their work occupation. So I think it's just one of those things where I see all the pros. I recognize that there's sometimes can be cons. The way I travel as well, I'll tell you, is I like to stay in one place for a length of time, so it does feel like a home for me. Because if you're committing to doing like travel as a lifestyle, unlike a vacation, you don't want to be there for 2 weeks and just zip through all of the highlight reel. You don't want to be basically going there and going through all the vacation, sort of tourist spots, we'll say, not the vacation, but the tourist spots. You want to basically just really get immersed, almost like a local, or well, truly like a local, into the culture. So you want to learn, you want to meet people, understand some of the politics of the place you're in, some of the social concerns, some of the environmental concerns. At least for me, that's very important. I definitely am also launching projects wherever I'm going. Like that's one of the things, one of my goals is to be a global entrepreneur. So basically working on projects around the world that hopefully are having net positive benefit in terms of employment, in terms of environmental impact, I mentioned, in terms of social impact. And so I think that allows you to do that if you're planning on going somewhere for a length of time. So not doing a 2-week vacation, but doing a 1 month plus workation, which is what my sort of minimum requirement to go somewhere is at this point. I'll curate it, I'll research it, and then I'll go for at least a month. So that's a little bit about why I think travel is really fun, really cool, and a great option that we have that's actually a lot easier for all of us to potentially explore.